she was struck by a pig transport truck. There's a lot of debate as to whether or not it was an accident or it was on purpose.
Welcome to Our Hen House. This is Jasmin Singer.
This is Mariann Sullivan.
We are so pleased to welcome filmmaker Ray Cruzzola to talk about his work and specifically about I'm Trying, his moving documentary tribute to the work of Canadian activist Regan Russell. And he is the founder of World Change Media, which creates cinematic, story-driven content for nonprofits and charities and social impact organizations to drive awareness and engagement and fundraising. So we're very excited, and we will get to you in just a moment, but welcome to our hen house, Ray.
I'm glad to be here. Thanks so much for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm very, very excited about the work that you're doing, and I feel like we all have so much to learn from you. Before we get to that, just a quick reminder to our listeners about the Our Hen House podcasts. Rising Anxieties comes out on Tuesdays, The Hen Report on Thursdays, and the long-form interview, that's this, on Fridays. Bonus content for Flock members comes out on Mondays. We're a podcast, and we're on YouTube, so hit subscribe, hit like wherever you listen, leave a comment, all of the things. Okay, let's get to you, Ray, because this is a topic that I think will ring some bells with our listeners for sure. If just in case anyone listening is not familiar with Regan's story, can you just tell us the basic backstory of who she was and what happened, and then we'll talk about the film and a little bit more about her story?
Regan was, like he said, she was a Canadian activist, and she focused primarily on the animal rights movement. She also did a bit of human rights as well, and she worked with the SAVE movement, so she attended a lot of vigils, and she was a great activist. She was really strong. I can get into that more later. And in 2020, they were protesting Bill 156. It's an ag-gag bill. So to not allow activists to film or record what's happening in the animal industry. They were protesting that bill, and she was struck by a transport truck, a pig transport truck. And when you look at the footage and you watch the film and so forth, there's a lot of debate as to whether or not it was an accident or it was on purpose. I'm in no position to say exactly what it was, but a lot of people see it as it was a killing. It was a murder. It was a horrible thing that affected activists and people globally. And we felt it was really important not just to tell her story, but the story of her parents and how they were affected and her loved ones and so forth. And really just use that powerful story as a tool to bring awareness to the animal agriculture industry and what people can do about it.
Did you know Regan personally? Were you involved at all before that, or were you brought in to work on the movie after the incident had happened?
No, I never met her. I usually film marches and so forth, so I was sifting through all my footage. I didn't have much of her. I really wish I did. It was strange, like getting to know someone as you were creating a film, and then after, like I felt like I knew her even on a personal level in a strange way. So that was interesting. I wish I knew her, but no, I didn't know her.
From the movie, I mean, I guess I feel the same way, though on a much lesser extent, that I did feel I got to know her, even though, as you say, there wasn't a lot of footage because you weren't making the movie when she was still alive. But she just had a radiant personality, didn't she?
Yeah, she seemed great. And there were times when I was editing and you really felt the impact of the people she affected and how this death really hit them hard. And yeah just even creating it was very emotional.
Yeah, and I mean, not that this is relevant to her. Like, it seems like a foolish thing to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. She was also stunningly beautiful. I don't mean in a goodness sense. I mean, she was actually stunningly beautiful.
She was beautiful on the inside and outside. And I just want to go back to one thing you just said, Ray, because you said that it was a little bit shocking just how deeply people were affected. I don't think you used the word shocking, but that was what I got out of it. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Like, how were people affected?
She had this personality this character where she really welcomed people, regardless of who they were. People seemed like they really felt safe around her, and they could be themselves, and she empowered people. So she was just this like positive force. And we interviewed like her best friend is also one of the main characters, and she was in it a lot. And they've known each other since they were 14. And Regan passed when she was 65. So it was a long friendship. And she was so there for her best friend and her other friends, just like she was for the animals. Like her compassion spread past the animals onto humans as well. So yeah, they were just so hurt. It really hurt just interviewing them sometimes.
You know, one of the things you told us when we were preparing for this interview, you sent us some notes, is your view that, I'm going to quote you, film strategies to activate audiences in specific ways can be woven into almost every scene of a documentary. Can you expand on that a little bit and how you seek to do that?
So a lot of people, they watch film in a passive way. They just kick back and just let the scenes flow through them. But a lot of people, they're not aware that a lot of films are tools, and they're like these long ads. But instead of selling Tide or Febreze, whatever it is, they're selling ideas and concepts and even arguments. And it's done in such a strategic way. And a lot of films, they find ways to use each scene as a tool to push these ideas. And so it's horrible what Hollywood does. And so, but knowing that as a filmmaker, you can use each scene as a tool to push something positive. Oh, by the way, like Hollywood will push like oppressive messages to women, Black people, any minority group, animals, of course, the environmental movement, and so forth. So you use those tools that film has to offer in ways to push positive messages and to empower people and to show them how they can help and so forth. And you make it so it's not obvious like that. You're just really just telling a story. But it was great with this film because we didn't have to hide anything. Hollywood will try to hide these messages, but with this, it was just like, hey, we want you to feel empowered. We want you to take action. Like you're such a special creation, and you can do something really helpful.
It's been our experience, I would say, doing our hen house, that people seem to like stories about people, specifically when it comes to animals. I do want to ask you about this. And I don't mean to be angling here, so please let me know if you disagree. But do you think it's a good strategy to focus on, like, let's say, the story of a person, to tell their story about caring about animals, as you've done here, rather than trying to tell the story of a specific animal?
I think so. I 100% think so. Yeah, like with this one, we really asked ourselves, like, what would Regan want us to do with this story? And we felt like she would want us to use it as a tool to really help animals. And telling the story of her and her parents who are lovely, and her best friend, and all the people who were affected, and using those personal stories to help. Yeah, it helps as a bridge, and it just helps people connect with these stories. And then from there, you can show that, hey, like animals are individuals that feel pain too, and they have friendships and families too. So it's a great method. Yes.
Have you ever made a film that specifically did I mean, this film didn't really focus on the animals except as the subject of the activism. Have you ever made a film that actually focused on the animals? Because it seems to me to be extremely challenging.
It is like when making this film, first of all, we were trying to really identify which demographic we were going to speak to. Like we knew that some non-vegans were going to attend. So how do we felt like maybe if we push it too much, it would deter them away. So we did feel like we had a certain animal presence there, but it leaned more towards humans. I did a lot on animals, more shorter videos for like organizations and websites and promotional and fundraising content and so forth. And I think they can reach non-vegans. I just did one on lobsters for vegan FTA, and crustaceans and lobsters. I think they're harder to connect to than, let's say, dogs. They're less expressive. They have these faces that are alien-like. But there's ways to show their cuteness, their beauty, their show the individual there. Just even the way they move and so forth. So yeah, there's ways.
And I'm trying I feel like one of the things you were focusing on, and not so much the personalities of the animals. So certainly there were glimpses of these pigs that came in, and they were a very real presence. But they weren't specific focuses on individual animals. But you were really addressing activism, and I think trying to address some of the concerns that people often have when considering fighting for animals. Not everybody imagines being killed as like as the most drastic thing that could happen to you, but people are frightened of activism sometimes. Is that something that you were trying to address and to some extent allay those concerns and to some extent and sympathize with people that this is a tough thing to do?
Yes, I love the word you use, frightened. I think that's a very accurate word. I was frightened when I first got into activism. I was worried that people would think I'm quote unquote one of those, or maybe job opportunities would reduce, or who knows, just a bunch of things. Shame can come in. When coming up with trying to find ways to empower people, it's really important to find out what concerns they may have, whether they're aware of it or not, and have a list of those concerns. So one of them, they could be frightened. Also, they may wonder, will it even do anything? Is it effective? Another one could be, if I join an animal rights organization, will I be welcomed in? Will I just be twiddling my thumbs? So you identify the list of concerns, and then you try to craft these scenes that address those concerns while still telling the story. So you will even have a scene where we'll show an animal rights group, but really show vulnerability there, and a welcoming vibe. So to address the concern that, whether or not people will feel comfortable joining.
Yeah, and I mean the people you show. I think sometimes people think that we're all crazy, and I think that you really helped. Then a lot of the people you did show were just thoughtful and sincere and nice and regular, and I think just that message itself can be very valuable.
Yeah, I think even the word crazy or weird, it's like, when I feel like in a society where people are on autopilot, or they may be indifferent about certain issues, when you care so much and you're really trying to find ways, and you're learning how the system works, and you're curious and you're passionate, I think it can represent itself as a little off, but it's, I don't want to use the word crazy, but like good crazy, it's great.
You know, what I found interesting is the documentary isn't just about what the problem is, but it's about solving it, it's about activism. What are the lessons to be learned from Regan's story in being an effective activist?
So I like how she was really curious about people. And I found that, and I guess the both of you as podcast hosts, you're curious as well. But I find that's lacking in society, and I could be wrong, but that's the vibe I'm getting. And she was really curious about people. She made people really feel special. I think just having that approach can help with some of the concerns, like even entering an organization. If you have a certain curiosity, the spotlight may shift from you to genuinely just wanting to know people, and it can help you enter the group. Or when you're doing outreach and you're speaking to either an individual or a decision maker, or a politician, having that curiosity can help you connect more, and it can also help them reduce their defenses and receive the information.
Yeah, I wanted to also just go back to what you said about curiosity. I'm curious about like what you mean by that, that you think that the vibe is sort of like people lack curiosity in general?
Yeah, and there was a scene there that I really wanted to push and really show that part of her. But I feel like people do lack curiosity in a way where maybe they're just thinking about what to say while someone's talking, or there's this word, I forgot what it is, but the definition of the word is this overwhelming feeling that every individual has this whole world and life to them. And it's a specific word, and your mind just blows that, like, all these people around you has this whole huge story to them, that consists of multiple stories. And and just like really trying to keep that in mind. And I forget too, and I'll walk down the street and people will walk by me like it's nothing. But sometimes I remind myself, like, hey, like, look at people and feel them, and like there's a whole world to them, and they're just passing by you. And I think that helps with a lot of things. So
The thing I wanted to add about this particular topic, about how you brought it to life in the film, was a story which was far before Regan became an activist. It was that story that her friend told when they first met, when they were like 14, and they were both starting out as models in Winnipeg. It was Winnipeg, right? She was from,
yes,
yeah, and it was just so touching because having been a 14-year-old girl, not a model, but there could be a lot of competitiveness and particularly in a modeling arena, you can imagine that. And it was just such a moving story about how kind at that age Regan was to this girl who felt very awkward and lost. And it just seemed like a theme that really repeated throughout her life, that it was just she had
Mm.
a curiosity, enough to find out that this other girl was feeling kind of bereft, and that kindness. It was such an interesting little blip that I think appealed to me particularly because, I've been a 14-year-old girl and it's a very difficult time of life. It was a lovely story, and I think it does bring to life your thought that not that that was a move of activism, but that is such powerful activism, being able to connect with another person, seeing what issues going on for them. So that's all I was going to add. I liked that story a lot.
no, I totally hear you. That I felt like that moment was so important, and I love there's without giving too much away, but the friend who was that 14-year-old girl who just got into modeling and was scared and hesitant and so forth, she used the term that Regan saw her feeling uncomfortable, and Regan just wasn't going to have that. Like I love how she just used that. Like I'm not even thinking twice. There's no way I'm just going to stand here and have this person feel so vulnerable and not do anything about it. So that was great. That touched me definitely.
And you can see that same spirit coming when she found out what was happening to pigs. She just
Yeah,
wasn't going to have it.
exactly. Yeah.
Mm. This is a little bit of a non sequitur, but I keep thinking about it. Many years ago, like 20 years ago, maybe, I saw an off Broadway play that was about Rachel Corrie. And at the time, I hadn't known who she was. So, just for people who might not know, she was a nonviolence activist, and she was a member of the pro-Palestinian International Solidarity Movement, very active throughout that whole movement, that whole world. And she was in a city in the Gaza Strip that was under Israeli occupation when she was run over by an armored bulldozer that crushed and killed her. And there was a play about it. And just like I'm passionate about film, our listeners know I'm very passionate about theater and the arts as a way of change making. And 20 years later, and hundreds of plays that I've seen later, I still think about her and this story. And I think that the Regan story has the potential to reach people about this movement and about the fight. And it's hard to say this because it's like nobody should have to die for human or animal. Like no one should have to die for others to take seriously this cause. But in the case of Regan, what do you think she would say about about the reaction to what happened to her and how to sort of best use her memory? That's a loaded question. I know you can't really exactly answer it, but I am curious what your instinct is here.
I think she would be pleased. I think a lot of documentaries, they may focus on people who have like maybe a huge platform or they're that are really public figures. And what I like is that Regan, I don't want to say she was just a normal person because like what does that even mean? But she didn't have that, and she still made such an impact. And I think because she didn't have such a huge platform and so forth, that it made it even more powerful that all of us can do something. So if that message, and I do think it did reach people who have seen the movie and also who have seen all the news articles about her. Yeah, I think she'd be totally pleased that regular quote unquote people feel like they can do really special things.
Can you tell us about the title? Because I'm not sure people would know what it meant, but it's very moving.
Anita, who produced the film, she came up with the title, and it's called "I'm Trying." And Regan, while being interviewed, she mentioned that just try. Just like, you may not have all the answers, but doing something is definitely a lot better than doing nothing. And just having that as an anchor, like even right now, like coming on a podcast, I may be nervous, but let me just try to push myself and try to share some messages. And the two of you, I'm sure you try in so many other ways, and it makes a huge impact. So you don't have to be perfect, but just try no matter what, like and just go on that journey. I think it can do a lot, and it's moving. When people see people trying and they don't have it all together, I think that can be inspiring. So it's like you can't lose.
In making the movie, what audience did you have in your mind? Like active vegans, non-active vegans, non-vegans? Like who were you making it for?
It was tough. Like when you have when you're choosing the demographic, they say have like a 10-year gap. I mean, a 10-year range. So speak to people from 20 to 30-year-olds and so forth. And if you try to branch out too much, then you don't speak to anybody. So it was tough, and we tried to see, okay, what films are out there already, and try to find the gaps. And so we focused on people who were already vegan. Mostly, we still had scenes that catered to non-vegans and so forth, but people who were vegan, who wanted to make a difference but didn't necessarily know how to, and also maybe people who were vegan and didn't think they could even make a difference. So passive supporters and active supporters, and just show them also different ways that you can use your skill set. And so instead of maybe speaking to an individual and trying to change them, which is really important, but also to speak to a person in a position of power, or like a change maker or politician and so forth, and try to change them so it can lead to policy change and so forth, and you can have a larger impact.
I have to say that I find that very moving, and one reason is because that's always been. I mean, we've been doing this podcast for a long time, and you know, sometimes it feels successful and sometimes it doesn't. But our goal has always been to reach those people who already get it about animals. We're not telling people why they should be vegan or why they should care, but who want to do something and don't know what that is, and just need a community perhaps to help them find the right space and get the courage to do what they really want to do. So it sounds like you were really going for the exact same kind of audience that we're always hoping to reach. And I think sometimes we really do reach. One thing that question I always have to ask filmmakers, and frequently there are filmmakers who are telling stories about animals, which I think is also difficult. But this is also a very difficult story, and I was wary sitting down to watch it because I was afraid I would be crying by the end of it. Um, what are some of your methods for telling difficult and painful stories without, making the audience want to leave? It's too much. Not shutting down.
That's a good question. Like, you identify the goal and you try to reach it from different angles. Like maybe it is highlighting the sadness or the animal cruelty, but sometimes it can even be more effective when you go around that, when you go from a different angle. Even when it came to the animal abuse scenes, they were done in a way where there was no blood, but we felt like it was still impactful, if not more. And the sadness, it doesn't have to be throughout the whole thing. You can craft something in a way that when you do show the sad parts, it still hits them and you still reach your goal. So it's not necessarily more sadness activates people more. It's just being more strategic in how you present it. And yeah, sometimes less quote unquote sadness can do more. Yeah.
I think certainly with footage of suffering animals, less is frequently, so people don't get, you have to get in there really quick and really quick, which is basically what you did before people just can't handle it.
With animals, it's I think people feel like they have to show so much, but in the end, if we're walking down the street and we see someone just randomly kick a dog, we still get a reaction because we like dogs and so forth, and we've been not programmed to hate them or not see them as individuals. So if you can find a way to show these animals as individuals and special, just like a dog, then even just a little bit of abuse can really hit them as well. So
yeah. Well, one thing I wanted to relate it to, I mean, you mentioned, I think, the plant-based treaty? Or at least you mentioned that Anita Cronch was the producer of the movie. And we talked about the plant-based treaty, and we've had Anita on before, but not everybody maybe that was a while ago, and not maybe everybody has heard of that. Can you just kind of like get us up to date on how you hope this documentary is going to fit into that work?
Regan's parents, they endorsed the plant-based treaty, and they also supported in many ways. Regan's dad gave speeches at different panels for the plant-based treaty. The plant-based treaty is an extension of the Animal Save movement. And Regan Russell was a huge supporter of the Animal Save movement. She attended a ton of vigils and so forth. So we saw it was fitting. And like, I genuinely think the plant-based treaty is doing amazing things. When Bill 156 came in, the Animal Save movement faced a lot of challenges, and they branched out to really put a focus on getting people to approach their MPs and their politicians and so forth and try to change policy. And they took the approach that the fossil fuels treaty was using, really making small changes within the system at a very local level, from city to city, and slowly try to get countries to endorse the plant-based treaty and just keep growing from there.
And do they use the film at all in the advocacy for the plant-based treaty?
Yeah, we show scenes where like the dad is supporting it, the parents are supporting it, and when we show different ways that other people can behave similar to Regan and hone into their power and their ability to make change, we show them also how they can save like as many animals as possible, and if they have it in them and they're able to approach politicians and so forth, how to create that policy change, just to empower people and show that, hey, you too can make a huge impact.
There's just no doubt that Regan would be so happy to hear that this story has become part of the advocacy.
Yeah, I agree. And you've said, Ray, that your films are meant not only to invite audiences to bear witness, but to respond. Can you expand on that?
Okay, so watching a lot of Hollywood films, they put so much effort into disempowering people. Like, even, let's say, for example, the movie Speed, where Keanu Reeves hops on the bus and so forth. It's like they kept the people on the bus who are quote unquote regular people, or were waiting for the superhero to come in and save the day, or with Superman or all these superhero movies. And they push that a lot in Hollywood. So just to really show that, like, you too can make a huge difference. And I think a lot of people, when you tell them that, at least myself, when I first got into activism, like, it flew over my head, like, no, that's for special people. It's for those people. And then when I learned more about it, it's like, hey, wait a minute, I can actually do this and I can actually do that. And that action would lead to this and that. And even till this day, like, I have these thoughts where this documentary might not be having any impact, or like, why even vlog or do other types of activism? Like, what's it doing? So those feelings, they're consistent, they keep coming. So I feel like it's important to create material to counter that, and let people know that that's not true at all, and just let it slide, and use their powers.
So tell us again the name of the film and where people can access it and watch it.
Okay, so the name of the film is I'm Trying, and right now we're working on having an online fundraising screening to use those funds to get a distributor and get it pushed out to as many places as possible. You can follow the social media handles, I'm Trying Film, and you'll be updated. We're still doing screenings in festivals, and soon we're going to do the online screening.
Okay, and we will link to that as well in the show notes, so that, because I'm sure that our listeners will be very interested in seeing it and supporting the future endeavors for the film. Ray Cruzzola, thank you so much for spending some time with us today and for making this film, and just for all that you're doing to change the world for animals. We appreciate you.
And thank you too so much for having me and everything that you're doing. It's awesome.
I appreciate that. And thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe and like and comment on your favorite podcatcher and or here on YouTube. And if you want to join us as a flock member, go to ourhenhouse.org/support. Don't forget, one of the perks is that you get bonus content. And Ray is going to be sticking on with us for a bit to chat with us a little bit more about his film and his work. And so if you're in the flock, stay tuned for that content coming on Monday. And we'll talk to you next time.